or corn grains, or the most docile and fattest animals. And the result was that within a few generations, new domesticated species began to appear, and they were created not by natural selection, but by artificial selection. You can see the difference very, very clearly if you can compare a modern corn cob, which is fat and nutritious and tasty, with its ancestor teosinte, which is a rather pathetic looking weedy plant. Or if you compare a modern sheep, domesticated sheep, which tends to be fat and docile and frankly not too smart, with its ancestor, a mountain goat, a very intelligent, athletic creature. Humans changed too, but they tended not to change genetically so much as technologically, socially and culturally. They learned to clear trees, to build paddy fields like this, to divert rivers, to protect their crops and animals from pests such as rats or wolves. And the result of all of this was that humans found that they could produce more of what they wanted from a given area, from a small area, than they had before. And that meant that humans could now live in sedentary villages rather than being nomadic. But to get a real sense of what's going on with farming, we need to think about it from a big history perspective. Remember, all the energy that supports the biosphere, or most of it, comes from sunlight through photosynthesis. So what farmers were really doing was diverting more of that energy into species that they could use and away from other species. The result was a sort of huge energy grab by one species, our own. No wonder, with farming, human populations began to grow so rapidly. So, where and when did farming and agriculture begin? At the moment, it looks as if farming really began about 11,000 years ago in the highlands east of the Mediterranean that we know as the Fertile Crescent, and here they grew wheat. It may also have appeared at about the same time in the Nile Valley, slightly further south. Then, from about 8,000 years ago, we have evidence of rice growing in China, and at about the same time, we have evidence of the growing of taro and yams in the highlands of Papua New Guinea, though it took several thousand years for agriculture to really flourish here. Then, from about 5,000 to 4,000 years ago, agriculture pops up in several different parts of the world. In West Africa, farmers start growing sorghum and millet, and farming also appears in the Americas, right across the Atlantic, in Mesoamerica, where they're growing maize and squash, and also in the Andes, where potatoes are a very important crop. From these core regions, agriculture then spreads to neighbouring regions. But there's a real puzzle here, because none of the core regions seem to have been connected. So what was really going on? So why, after almost 200,000 years of living as foragers, did humans in so many parts of the world that had no connection between each other begin to behave in such similar ways in such a brief period of time? Well, there seem to be two main reasons. One factor is overpopulation, the other is climate change, and these factors operated in many different parts of the world. Let's take overpopulation first.